Hey everyone, welcome to our first premiere episode of Mental Fitness. Not everybody can afford a therapist nor take the time to go to one. And the country, humans in general, are struggling. And I think we are struggling with anxiety the most. So we are doing our premiere episode all about helping you manage anxiety. What is it? How do you recognize it? How do you calm yourself down? What steps do you do to protect yourself in the future from high anxiety? And sometimes anxiety is good. That's another thing too. And I'm really excited that I have a guest host with me today, Shane Snelling. Shane, tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get into the episode.
Middle-aged dude, obviously. And I've got, let's see, 25 years in the Army Reserve. I got a wife, 2 kids. So pretty normal. Did a few deployments in the Army. So,
I would think your deployments and being a veteran separates yourself from a typical white man there. I think that's pretty interesting
maybe, but
about yourself.
anyhow, yeah. But I've, struggled with anxiety. And so kind of did a shift in thinking about it over the last few years. And now I'm a lot more mentally fit. So I'm glad to be here and help you out and help out anybody who I can.
I'm so excited to do this with you. So Shane lives in Corden. I live in Palmyra, and we met because he did an episode of a local podcast called Blue Dot, which is awesome. And I listened to the episode, and then I think I reached out to you, and then we became, friends where we would message each other sometimes. The goal of our friendship was just to like help out Harrison County. I really
Sure.
like that. Also, I was running for county council and I was calling out Parks Department stuff. And you would occasionally just send me Facebook messages helping me with what I was doing. And you still do that to this day. If you
Thanks.
see something and I say something and you've got info, you send it to me. And you just seem like a person that wants to better the community. You're with that goal with me and a bunch of other people where we want our neighborhoods safer. We want to help everybody here and grow and unite. And I'm really thankful you messaged me and asked if you could be on to talk about anxiety. So thank you so much for being a friend of me, helping me out when I need it. I feel like you give me a lot more help than I give you.
Well, thanks for having me. And in fact, that focus on the local community is one of the things that probably helps with my anxiety issues I've had over in the past, because um, I like to focus where I can change things. I can't change national politics or international geo events, but I can try to improve where I live and my neighbors and things. And that's really where what it's all about.
That's pretty much what you just said. The reason Tim Peck and I started Project Next Media. We cannot control the national. We can influence local. I've been doing it for a few years. I don't influence as much as I want, but I help some. And the more people that work with me, the more we can help. So, the whole goal of Project Next Media is to make your life better. And this show is such an important aspect of making people's lives better. We know we have to be physically fit. We know we have to eat correct things and sleep, but we don't talk enough about mental fitness. And, not everybody can afford therapy, but that doesn't mean we can't help each other. So I want to say shout out to Ellen Kelly. She's going to be on the show. She wasn't able to join today because she is not feeling well. And she is a retired therapist. And I just want to send my love to Ellen. She's a new friend that I met campaigning for State House because she ran for county council in Floyd County. She's a wonderful person. And it'll be wonderful to have a retired therapist on the show. I felt pretty confident talking about anxiety without her, but we can do follow-ups if you want. And you guys, when she's on, feel free to ask any of your own questions to get a therapist's help
Yeah, I
with
was looking
them.
forward to meeting her. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't need to point out though. So I'm here just as your friend and the person we know, not a representative of the Army Reserve, government, anything like that. It's just basically my background as a veteran and deployments. probably definitely contributed to my anxiety. Although I think I've had it most of my life. So I just want to point that out that I'm here as Shane, not not in any official capacity.
Yeah, on Thursday, I'm going to be interviewing Destiny Wells for the second episode of Mental Fitness, and she is one of the candidates for Indiana State Democratic chair. And she is, I would call her a veteran, but she's still in the military.
Oh,
So the second person I'm having on also has military experience and has suffered anxiety from some of the stressful situations that you're put in when you do that amazing service for our country. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point to say. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my anxiety and you're going to ask questions. Then
sure.
we're going to talk about your anxiety and I'll ask questions. And throughout, we're going to be giving tips. We already gave out the biggest tip at the beginning here. Getting involved locally helps both of our mental health tremendously. I met so many wonderful people, you being one of them, by being active with Harrison County Democrats and by going to festivals and going to parades and just meeting fantastic people. That's helped my mental health. And that is the same for you, correct? That's one thing that helps you.
It is. It is. Maybe disclaimer: I'm not a Democrat, but I'm also not a Republican, so
I
completely
love
neutral.
that. We are not
But
a Democrat or Republican media company.
I'm
We
just
are a people.
I'm just a guy who likes the community. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
we're a people network, and we like to shine a light on good behavior and on bad behavior, especially with our Indiana government, because
wherever it comes from,
our whole goal is to make your life better. So it doesn't matter. There are bad people on both sides, and there are good people on both sides. So yeah,
100% mixed
I'm glad
bag.
you said that. Okay,
Let's
so
start.
I would say just a few years ago, we really started as a society talking about anxiety because when I first started battling with it, I did not know I had anxiety. So I'm talking a while ago. The first time I had my biggest bout of anxiety as an adult happened when I went through my divorce. I had my 14-year-old was 2 and I was poor and it was a very difficult divorce. I was able to get out okay and everything's fine. And side note, I am friends with my ex. We co-parent together and I care about him as a friend. So there's no dissing of him at all. But I was incredibly stressed out and all of my friends kept telling me, "You're going to go on the divorce diet." That's what they called it. So I was like, I am losing weight. I guess I'm going on.
That was the silver lining they were saying.
Yeah. Hey, good news. This is stressful, but you're going on the divorce diet. So this was a while ago. This was 2012, 13, I think. Maybe 2013. I can't remember. And I did lose weight. So I weigh myself every day because weight is an issue for me. And I weighed 153 today. My healthy weight is 150 to 160. So I weigh myself every day and keep myself between 150 and 160. And I got down to 122. And I am 5'8" and a half. 122 with my muscle and stuff. I looked very skinny. My parents were worried about me. I remember my parents making comments and I disregarded them. I was too stressed out. And the reason I was losing weight was anxiety, was the stress of the divorce. I could not calm down. My heart was beating way too fast.
Were
I,
you
yeah,
eating, or was it just you
I
ate and
was
metabolism
eating
increased?
not enough.
Okay.
I was too stressed out to eat. I also noticed I would get full faster and food didn't taste as good. So when I was high anxiety, I didn't get pleasure from food like I normally would. And
Now,
in my brain,
was the divorce the first time you've had that kind of severe anxiety?
that I've had anxiety as like in a high school and
I
setting,
think
but
everybody's got it in some way. I mean,
yeah, but this
I
is the
just considered
first
it
time it
stress.
really affected my weight. I think it was the biggest one I'd ever faced because I had a
So
child, so that was a big life change. You know, the guilt of breaking up a marriage with a child. Oh, I had so much guilt, and I had a
if you
lot of
didn't have if you didn't feel something over that, then yeah, you would be even more concerning. I mean, any normal sane person is going to have some issues going through those kind of life changing events.
and we amicably worked it out together. We didn't go to courts or anything. We divorced and wrote out agreements and decided everything together, but it was still extremely stressful. So some of my symptoms were I couldn't read a new book. That's one of my symptoms. Am I having high anxiety? Can I not pay attention? Can I
Oh, I see.
watch?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
focus. Right. Sure.
So like, can I watch a new movie and pay attention? Can I listen to people talk for more than like a minute and stay focused? If I can't do those things, that is a symptom that I'm having anxiety. I didn't know any of this. I'm just thinking divorce diet.
No,
Lucky
same
me.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I've had it, it's just I lived with it just in a state of I don't know heightened awareness almost or heightened tension all the time for years, and just thought it was normal. In fact, I never called it anxiety. I called it stress.
Yes. I knew I was stressed. I called it stress, divorce diet, stress. Yes. It wasn't until a male teacher at the school I worked at pulled me aside when I was at my lowest, when I was at 122. And this was before I weighed myself. And he said, Sarah, you are too skinny. You are losing your muscle. You are
Mm-hmm.
stressed from this divorce. You need to eat. And then he started for like the first week, he would bring me snacks. I remember him bringing me popcorn that he popped in the microwave while he was on his break. He would knock on my door while I was teaching, hand it to me, and say, eat that. And when he told me it, I went home and weighed myself. And that's when I saw, I think 122 is too skinny. And that's when I noticed ribs showing. Um,
Yeah.
because women were just taught be as thin as possible. I was in my brain thinking I can still lose weight. This is great. It's such an unhealthy place to be,
Yeah,
and I know that.
that's a topic for another
Yeah,
discussion. But yeah, it's a problem for sure.
it's a
I've got two
problem.
daughters, and I'm concerned about that as they
Me
get
too.
older.
Yep, I hear you. I've even heard my daughter mention it, and she's 6, and I'm like, oh no,
Oh
because it's
no.
so out there in the culture. Whew. So anyway, I'm thankful to that friend that he said that to me. It helped pull me out of it. So I slowly put on some weight and then eventually got back to, and I didn't know until a few
But
years
what you're
ago.
saying is important, though, is someone recognize the signs in you and then intervene for the positive.
So that's a tip. If you are recognizing loved ones that are looking different, you see signs of anxiety in them, and you are worried about telling them, that saved me. That friend pulling me aside, saying that to me, saved me. I don't know how skinny I was going to get, how much muscle I was going to lose. I would have started doing damage to my body. So, that if you see extreme anxiety in yourself or in others, I encourage you to lovingly show it to them. Don't have judgment about it. Just listen, are you okay? I'm noticing this in you. And
But
point
once
it
you
out, because
recognized it, when your friend pointed out, you recognized it. I mean, did you take action to improve your state, or just try to force your way through it?
I still didn't know it was anxiety, but I stopped the
Right.
biggest problem. I started eating
Sure.
and I started weighing myself.
Yeah, I got to. I mean, again, until just a few years ago, I'd never considered it anxiety. That sounded different to me than stress. I just thought I was stressed. It's a normal part of life. And then if I felt down because of it, that made it worse because I thought I could just man through it. I could just push through it. Why do I? It's illogical. Why do I feel like this is stupid? These things aren't that important. So why do I care about them? And then so I just try to turn it off, and it's not that way. That actually makes it worse. I mean, it's a way you can't overcome it usually with just brute force, and that's what I
Right.
tried for years. And then of course
Right.
then it's worse than the stress of and anxiety of wondering why you can't brute force through it. Just
Right.
work harder.
And I've had several times in my life where I've had extreme anxiety, but the next highest time in my life was when I ran for county council.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm sure that's stressful.
I ran knowing I wasn't going to win, which I didn't. The county's 100% Republican. It's really hard to run as a Democrat here, but I ran with the purpose of calling out Parks Department corruption. That caused
Yeah, I
the
remember
main
that. Yeah.
person causing the Parks Department corruption to kind of bully and harass me. And that caused me to lose a pound a day. This was in the time period
Oh
where I
wow.
was weighing myself every day. It went so far as one time I had a meeting at Buffalo Trace Park where I was going to tell everybody about the facts, and I was having former Buffalo Trace Park employees come so they could talk about the way they were mistreated by the park superintendent, Larry Schickles. And I put out, I think it was like on a Wednesday, I put out a flyer that said on Sunday at 2 o'clock or something, I can't remember the time, I was going to have this public meeting. And on Friday, the Parks Department released a sponsored ad saying they were going to have a free like festival at Buffalo Trace Park
Yeah, I remember
all
that.
during the time I would be there. And then when I went there, it was a Republican Party like event. All the Republican Party candidates were there wearing their shirts. And thankfully I had friends with me because I would have been really intimidated walking around and seeing that. They had free ice cream at the park. They had a band. They had like carriage rides or something. I don't know if it's horse and carriage or tractor rides.
Yeah,
Um,
it was almost a completely I remember it was a completely unplanned event that just came up in response to your
yeah,
event.
is in response to my event. I released it on Wednesday. They got it planned very quickly on Friday. Um,
Nice
so
to see the government move with such efficiency.
yeah, it really can when it wants to. And then when I had my meeting, he came to the meeting with two employees and he recorded me on his phone while I spoke. And then he really intimidated the other people that came to speak because their boss that had bullied them and hurt them was there recording them. And I remember calling him out for, hey, are you recording me with your phone? And he shook his phone and goes, no. And anyway, I I spoke, and then a couple other people spoke, and then he spoke, and then we debated. And that was, I lost like 2 pounds that day. I mean, my heart.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at
And
you. Just it's pretty
I
good
mean,
to lose
talk
two
about
pounds.
stressful. And I'm so thankful I had some friends there because most people couldn't handle his tactics. He's very good at manipulating the
Sure,
situation.
sure.
So I didn't know when I ran for county council that I was going to cause that to
Doesn't he
happen.
get kind of cutthroat? Yeah, sure. And it's difficult to anticipate that. I mean, I purposely stay out of conditions and I guess events that would trigger my anxiety as much as I can. Although, I mean, I really don't have much of it anymore. I mean, obviously, I'm on a podcast or whatever this is, live stream, talking about it. So,
Yeah,
uh,
the fact that yeah, you can't be having high anxiety and be willing to do a live show about your anxiety. So you should be pretty proud of yourself. And then my
well, yeah,
brother.
I mean, just it took a lot. It basically took self awareness and then just some positive changes.
So the
Just
first.
like if you realize you're getting out of shape and you need to go out and go for a jog. I mean, the mental fitness is just as important as the physical fitness, and that's a thing that it seems our generation and older may not have been taught, or it wasn't society, doesn't really teach it in American society. It's almost like there's pride in working hard, which is where mine stems from, and 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 being busy. And so the harder you work, the busier you are, the better you are. Of course, that builds up. It contributes to burnout eventually.
Yeah, I would say it's even harder for you as a male to admit you have anxiety because in our culture we put expectations on you to be the provider of the family, to solve the problems, to be in charge of the whole taking
Well, I mean
care, the
that's
protector.
all true. I'd say it's difficult for moms too because they've got a lot of pressure from
We have
and they're
different
supposed to
types of
do
pressure.
everything. But
But
yeah,
where I'd say we're different
but I'm not
is
supposed
I'm
to.
allowed to call my friends and talk about my troubles and not be called like wussy or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Whereas in our culture, if a man says, I'm struggling right now with this, sometimes that's frowned upon, which really ends up hurting men.
Yeah, that's what I kind of sort of experienced. I mean, most, especially in modern times, in the last 5, 10 years, as I've gotten older, my friends have been more open, more supportive. Maybe that shows society's changing.
I
But
think so. I
I
think
mean, I
it's
don't.
changing for the better. Yeah.
I mean, I think I had a little bit of it throughout my life, and then different periods. So I always just thought it was stress. Even in high school, I thought I ran track, and I would get very nervous before any meets. The more important the meet, the more nervous. But it seemed to always make me perform better, I thought. And so it was like a badge of honor for the longest time. But that just gradually over the years built up, and at some point, I had first off, it's totally normal to be anxious and have stress
Yes.
because we go through stressful periods in our lives. That's going to happen. But there's some things that you can do to help improve the way we feel about it, or they don't make your problems go away, but they help the way we deal with it. And anyhow, and so at some point when I was in my late 30s, early 40s, it's just kind of all came to a head. By then, I had 3 deployments under my belt. I was at a stressful job, two kids, little kids, and it was all so nothing crazy, nothing bad like a divorce. And that's the problem with anxiety and stress, is that it's not logical and it's not necessarily proportionate. It just happens, and once you're in that zone or that state, you're in your own head, and it's real to you. But anyhow, so I would have considered it just stress, just typical middle-aged stress.
Also,
No
I think humans are so hard on ourselves. I can see in you talking, you're being so hard on yourself because you're like, it wasn't a divorce. It was a lot. That's a lot of responsibility.
yeah, but it's normal.
But you're
But
just assuming you should be able to handle it, and
exactly, that was it.
yes,
The mentality just, and I knew logically all the things you should do, but the mentality was I should just whatever. This is life. Suck it up. Work
suck it up.
harder.
Yeah.
It'll go away. If it doesn't, then that's my problem, my fault. And that does go back to the expectations of a man. And and I consider myself fairly masculine. I've done some adventurous things like the deployments, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, worked out, Appalachian Trail, all kinds of. I used to love adventures when I was younger.
That's cool.
So yeah, so I'm a little more chill now. But anyhow, so
I
yeah,
think I met you at Rita's Tacos one time, and you just came back from like a really long canoe trip or something, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So you're still doing stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, yeah, fishing is one of the ways I deal with anxiety.
Nice.
But no,
That sounds like a good one.
so it just the mentality of just a former athlete, man, all that stuff. It just kind of came together as why would I talk about it or deal with it, right? But all that stuff, I just internalize it, just builds up inside, and I remember one time I came home from work, and everything kind of came to head, and I snapped at my wife, and it wasn't her fault. I just said something mean to her, and I don't know why that particular. I'm sure I did a million times, but I don't know why that particular time. I was about 39 or 40. I'm 44 now. Why that particular time made me just decide I've got to get help. And look, there's nothing crazy. I'm not, never had suicidal ideations or anything like that. But I just knew something was off. Something wasn't right.
You're like, why am I yelling at my wife? I love her very much. Something's off. So nobody told you. See, that's interesting. I can recognize it myself now when I get anxious. But at the beginning, people had to say.
No, I think my wife told me many times, but I ignored it.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
But so it's at some point that time I apologized. I made the appointment. Just went to my primary care doctor. Told him, hey, I'm middle-aged dude, get all these all these normal middle America problems, but I'm on edge all the time. And yet, and I had appetite was weird. Sometimes not at all, or overeating would be a problem too. It depends on what kind of anxiety I had. But anyway, then he put me on an SSRI, which is and if we had therapists here, she could tell you exactly what those things are. But it's just a particular pill, drug, and prescription. And I'm not a big fan of being on prescriptions forever, but it was almost immediate within the first week or two that I felt a change. I just felt a more chillness, and it didn't change my personality where I was weird or zombie or anything. It felt like I was back to when I was younger, felt like I was back to normal. Like I'd been out of myself for a long time. And then that's really where where my journey started, at least in self improvement. And then sometime later, a few years after a few years ago, I discovered a veterans retreat, an organization called Boulder Crest, and you can look that up. And they put on these different retreats and programs. And so while I was doing better, I still, like anyone, had some stress and anxiety. And a good friend of mine was going through a divorce, so he can relate to all the things you discussed. And I thought that he also a veteran. I thought that he could really benefit from it. So the two of us signed up for it, completely free. I can't say enough great things about the
Wow, that's
organization.
nice.
They pay for you to travel there too. We
That's
went
nice.
there, went out to a place in Illinois. They have them in different places, and there's a small group. I think it was like 7 of us, maybe, along with a couple of, I guess, guides. They call them facilitators. The program's called Warrior Path, and anyhow, so all veterans in this nice little um, nice relaxed location. I mean, it was a true retreat, and and they taught us something like 30 wellness practices,
Oh,
and
wow.
including transcendental meditation. And so that's the other big thing, and that's so also known as TM. That is the thing that the Beatles made famous back in the '60s, and the Beach Boys did it and things. So it's kind of from the that era, but folks still do it to this day, and that's just 20 minutes a day, once or twice a day, and it's I don't put a robe on and hum and sit cross-legged. No, I just sit in a chair and think. And there are lots of different ways of meditating, but that's the only one I know of. But this was all, all these resources they brought to us, and that's the main one that I've kept with it. So you combine the medication, which eventually I plan to get off of, but no shame in it, with this meditation, and my wife told me at one point I was getting too chill.
You need to care a little bit more.
Yeah. So I focused on that. That's a good problem
That's
to have,
funny.
though. But so
Yeah.
but I can't. I mean, I would recommend that to anybody. If you look, there's so much literature on meditation in general, transcendental meditation specifically.
And I'm sure there's like tons of free stuff online of people modeling, yoga, meditating, anything that you think
Yoga,
might
they
help
taught us yoga at the retreat.
calm your brain down a little bit. There's free stuff online on YouTube and everything where you can get assistance, because again, not everybody can pay for all this stuff, but there's a lot of free things on. You just watch an ad every once in a while or
Yeah, you've got
something.
to pay. I think to get the specific transcendental meditation (TM) instruction comes from a TM instructor. I still recommend it though, but there's lots of other ones. There's mindfulness meditation is one that folks do. I mean, you get online, plenty of literature, but you'll see there's academic literature on what meditation does to the brain. It really improves improves the brain. They can see with some kind of imaging and scans the changes it makes and the positive changes it makes. So it's again, I'm no scientist, but if you look that stuff up, you'll see that it's there's like 50 years of literature, academic literature on what it does. So and I'll point out too that meditation is not it's not religious. Sure, some religions use it for as part of their religion, but it is not in itself religious.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
brain exercises. They're
Right.
just brain exercises.
Is it helps to calm your brain down so that you're not running like this when you're on high
Right.
anxiety.
And like I said, I'm a veteran, and a guy that used to think I was tough, and I never 10 years ago, I never would have dreamt that I was going to talk about anxiety or meditate like the hippies. so
You know,
I recommend folks keep an open mind.
I'm so proud of you. I remember now, I forgot about this. When I was like openly sharing that I had high anxiety on Facebook, I don't know when, you messaged me and told me about this stuff. You just took time out of your day to be like, well, I do these and these things help me. And that was so nice of
Oh,
you.
because it's a game changer for me. Just and And I think it actually, before I snapped at my wife, the journey actually started, and I didn't realize it happened through self-awareness, because I took some personality tests like Myers-Briggs and aptitude tests like a Clifton Strengths, things like that. And and I did this late in life. I wish I would have done this, in my 20s, even younger. I discovered, and these tests actually were pretty accurate. And then I discovered, okay, now I know what makes me tick, like why I am the way I am, the wired the way I am. So now I know when I get anxious, it was usually performance anxiety. I had to be the best, not so competitive to others with
But
others,
for
with
yourself.
myself. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got a high standard for how I do things. I want to achieve. I always want to be the best at whatever I decide to do. Even when I was a teenager and I bust tables, I was prided myself on being a fast turn of those tables fast. So
I think a lot of us do that. I'm really critical on myself, and I'm starting this new media company. And the way Tim and I were able to handle, we're going to do live shows, we're going to learn as we go, we're going to mess up, is this is going to help people. We put too much perfectionism on ourselves.
yeah,
This
sure,
network,
exactly.
we're doing live shows, we're going to mess up, we're going to say wrong things. There's going to be mistakes made. I'm going to mispronounce something. I'm going to look stupid, like, and learning to be strong enough in yourself and forgiving of yourself and say, that's okay, because I want society to see you all don't have to be perfect. Sometimes people demand that of us, and that's a way they can control us, but it's not real. Humans don't have to be perfect. I'm allowed to mess up. I'm allowed to learn and grow and say sorry and try to be better. Same as you. You're allowed to mess up. You're allowed. It's okay that you snapped at your wife. The amazing thing is you're like, I need to stop this. I love her. I can't do this anymore. And you got yourself help, and now you're talking about it. That's like another level that's so mentally fit.
This
We
is
as
the
a
thing
society
too.
just need to talk about our mistakes more and just say it's okay that we mess up. We've got to
Yeah,
work on it and
and we
grow.
should. Again, I'm not here to get sympathy. Uh, it's just look. It's just like if I were working out. Look, I'm getting weak. I can't pick my kid up because I'm too weak, or so I'm going to lift weights. Or I'm winded to walk upstairs, so I'm going to go run. It's just, you tell somebody, well, it's better now, but you tell folks I'm gonna start running so I can so I'm in better shape. People are all about it, but often folks, it's a little taboo to say, well, I felt kind of down, so I'm gonna go to the doc, or I'm gonna try this meditation thing or something. And for me, both those things were so life changing that I came around, and well, that's why I'm here, because I couldn't believe. I mean, I knew this stuff all existed. I'd seen it, on the internet and all of that, but I just never thought I was the kind of guy that needed or would do these things. And now it's great. And then you throw an exercise, another one thing I do. I don't do enough of it, but uh, I can feel when I do cardio, especially if I go for a long, slow run, that I can feel the stress release. Or sometimes lifting weights, I can feel if I lift heavy weights, especially with legs, I can almost I physically feel stress leaving my body. And so you kind of have those things have really helped me. But
Yeah, that's the main way I de-stress. I
but you,
I
yeah,
run and I bike, and I do it in my basement because time wise I can be quicker, and then I can watch what I want on TV. But sometimes I push pause and I'm just in my own thoughts. Um, but I sometimes I'll have like a problem. I'll go and run. I'm done with the run and I've solved the problem.
oh
Like,
yeah, because the run
because
gives you
it puts
time
me in a
to
positive
think.
mindset. So I'm positively thinking, and my brain is thinking even when I'm running and watching TV. And I get done and I'm like, oh, I should do this. This is the solution to this problem. And it's a healthy one. It's not
Sure, so
filled
taking
with.
a break from it, and then your mind can think in the background, and yeah, I mean, because exercise does things to the brain too. Again,
And you're getting so
one,
much oxygen when you're breathing. It's helping your whole body work
yeah, one
better.
of these episodes you'll have the therapist or a scientist on or something, and they can tell you the
Yeah.
details about that. But yeah, those things are really positive. And what I've noticed too. Okay, so just like you can get into this trap of with anxiety and stress, where it spirals down. But just as you do that, if you can turn it around and try some of these methods, these things to get out of it, Well, once things turned around for me, it then just is one thing after another. It became better. I stopped. I follow the news fairly closely. Used to follow it all the very closely. Now in politics, international politics, I've just been a big fan of that my whole life. But I backed off of some of that. I get the headlines, read some of the stories, but I don't leave because it's so negative. So I don't leave CNN on all day and get the same stories, negativity.
You're gonna turn that off and being filled with stuff you have no control over.
Then
And the stories
then I
they're
go
pumping
to
are panic, anxiety induced to get you to tune in. They want you high anxiety. They want your money. They want to profit off of your fears, which makes me angry. This is a main concern I have for my friends that are politically involved. They send me all these texts, all these videos, all these YouTube clips of panic. And
yeah.
it's not that like what they're panicked over isn't true, but we can't solve it. So
Right, you don't want to fixate on it. You fixate on the negative, and you forget about the positives because the news doesn't report much of that.
and it's hard to diagnose which ones can you help, because yes, you could go to a protest, yes, you can call this representative. The question is, can you handle it on that day? Is that going to make you feel better, or is it going to give you more anxiety? If calling the representative is going to make you feel better, do it. If it's going to spur more panic and anxiety and more heart pumping thing, and you are realizing you're not eating well or taking care of yourself, maybe turn it off for now and just allow how much you can handle. Think of it like a
it's not
faucet.
good for anybody to live in a chronic anxiety, chronic state of
I have a
anxiety.
lot of friends that I worry about that
It's a
they
killer. It
are
affects their hearts.
very panicked all the time. Yeah. I'm worried about it. And also I get sent their panic, and sometimes it causes me to panic. And my main person when it's political is I call Tim Peck and I say, everybody's sending me this stuff. And he follows the news, so he can handle it better than I can, especially since he's going to run for Congress. He likes to know what's going on nationally.
We did run for Congress before, right?
Yes, he ran last time. Yeah, that's how I met him. And he's not even like a big Democrat. He just aligns better with us. So that's kind of nice that he's not like a diehard Democrat. He just wants to help people. And anyway, tells
Indiana
me,
Democrats are a little bit of, they're their own thing compared to the national level. So.
Yeah. He tells me what is real and what isn't, and what we can do about it and what we can't.
Well, misinformation is a problem too.
Yes. And they do it on both sides. Yeah. So the Democrats think just the Republicans are getting disinformation, and the Republicans think just the Democrats are getting disinformation. Both of us are. And the truth is somewhere more in the middle. And also, everything is not democracy is ending. Our side is always, because I had friends, they're like, we're done. We've lost our democracy. And I'm like, no, we haven't.
So I'm a big fan of history.
Free, fair election. It's not
majored
over.
in history, and I'm a big fan of history. And I saw a historian once interviewed by a talking head and a presidential historian. I forget her name now. And the interviewer asked her, "Well, I mean, is this the worst we've ever been?" She said, "No, we went through a civil war." so nowhere near as bad as
and you got to think of other countries that really truly lost their democracy.
Well, and look,
what life like is for them.
Back to the anxiety. So some of the other exercises I do is to hunt the good stuff, which means look for the positive. I mean, it's not being a wearing rose-colored glasses, but it is, when with our negative things happening, still look for the positive with that thing, the silver lining or other things that exist, because they're there. But if we fixate on the negative, then that's going to increase anxiety and stress. It's like Mr. Fred Rogers said. Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers.
Yep.
So
and meet them in your community. I keep meeting more people. I met you because I started getting active in the community, and I'm really thankful we're friends. And I've met hundreds and hundreds of great people. And when I'm down, I can call one of them and say, I'm down right now about this. They'll listen, care, and help get me back up to a more helpful place. That's another tip. If you're willing to be vulnerable about your mental struggles, and you're willing to tell someone that loves you, won't judge you, will listen and care about you. You have to be very careful on who you're opening up to.
Yeah,
I have a
that's true because you
I
could
have
open
a
up to the
group of
wrong
friends
person
and
and
they're
get
all
a
busy too, so
yeah.
I can't always reach just one. And I don't want to put all of my stress on one person either. So I like to call different friends and then they call me when they're stressed out and I'm there for them. And that really
But you
helps
gotta
me.
realize though when we're bombarded by so much negativity, especially if you're into the news and politics, and then and that happens whether we like it or not. So you've got to deliberately go out and counter that by bombarding yourselves with more positive things. So I'll listen to podcasts that are apolitical. Usually, in fact, I listen to a lot of psychology podcasts now since I
I
started
do
this.
too. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Hidden Brain is a good one. And then listen to audiobooks. I have a long commute, so listen to audiobooks and read books. Which reading and those things are still they're all part of the wellness practices. And there are loads of resources. Just folks don't know where to start. I didn't know where to start, and but I think it's probably with self awareness, understanding that at first it's always normal. Everyone gets some kind of anxiety and stress. More of us live with it than admit it because there's starting to reduce now, but there's a taboo that you can't, you shouldn't talk about it. Like it's somehow seen as weak.
That is step number one. Talk about it. That is the
Right. Look.
best thing you can do first is just openly talk about it with people that care
Yeah. Yeah.
about you.
Everyone admits that physical fitness is good. I mean, and no one will tell you that you're weak for exercising. Well, these things, these mental fitness things, these wellness uh, techniques are all the equivalent of physical exercise, but for your mind and your brain.
And we are missing that in our culture. It's getting a little bit better. We're talking about it a little bit more. But yeah, that's why the picture for fitness
And
is
I'll put a
a brain getting strong. That's what
I'll
I'm
put a
trying to do as a leader here. I have to be as mentally strong as possible in order to handle it. And I enjoy that challenge too. And I think you do too. I think you enjoy being as mentally fit as possible, being the best dad, the best
I could be
husband that
better.
you can be. I have my husband is like that too. He tries to be um as strong as possible to provide for our children. I think that's a big reason we get mentally fit. We want to do the best we can for our
Oh, for
children that we
sure.
love so much. Um, I've been seeing a therapist for almost a year now. His name's Aaron, his first name, and he's fantastic. And I'm so thankful that I found him. He tried to act like I didn't need him anymore 2 weeks ago. And I was like, no, I
Well,
still
that's
need you.
that's good. That's good. That means he's not there just trying to
I know
get
he's not
back.
trying to make money
So
off of me, but I was like, no, no, no. There's going to be more stuff that comes up that I don't know how to handle. Maybe one week I've
that's the
handled
thing.
my
I haven't
problems.
I haven't seen a therapist or anything. So maybe that's another part of the journey.
It's
I'm
pretty amazing.
good
I've
where
been
I am
able to
now.
speed up my mental fitness. I think I would have eventually got to where I am now in a few years. It just speeds it up. I'm like, I think this is the mentally fit thing to do. And he goes, yes, and also this thing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that one. It just
Hmm.
speeds it up. So in that hour, I meet with them every 2 weeks on a virtual. I'm listing every single problem I can think of, how I'm handling it, and if I don't know how to handle it. And he's the educated person that's like, well, look, I think this thing is best. And so my parents are going through a lot right now. He's really helped me with what I should do to help my parents and what I shouldn't do, because I don't need to control that. I just need to be there for them and love them. And so it's been amazing. I cannot recommend therapy enough if you can afford it and make time for it. Um, my insurance paid for the first 5 free, and then it was just like $18. But then when 2025 hit and everything started over again, now it's $91. But we agree that it's important enough for the family. So I keep at it. But
Sure,
it
sure,
makes
yeah,
me upset. We can afford it. It's a little bit of a struggle, but it makes me upset because a lot of people need therapy and they're
right.
going paycheck to paycheck to stay housed and to pay their bills and feed
Oh
a
yeah, that's
family.
it's difficult.
That's why
Folks
I
are
wanted to start the
struggling, and then
show. It's like, well, I'm getting therapy. Maybe I can use my knowledge to help people that can't afford it, but maybe they can listen on a podcast or whatever while they're doing their chores and they can get some tips from me, you know.
but
But
I'll point out any veterans or first responders out there. That organization or Boulder Crest will has several programs, and even though the one I attended was 7 days physically there, but the whole program is 90 days. So it's not therapy per se, but it's therapeutic for sure.
So yeah,
And
veterans can get free help, right? There's lots of things you can do.
yeah, there's some VA things probably. I don't know much about those.
I
So
know there's
yeah,
therapy for veterans because I know some.
this is particular one's a nonprofit, and
Oh, that's nice.
and yeah, so they'll pay for everything, and then you get an app, and you have your small group, and then we meet like you'd meet once a week by like video, but through the app by like video chat, and talk about things, go through exercises and things like that.
If you ever want to do an episode just on helping veterans, let me know. Like if you want to research into it and we could share a bunch of resources, that would be helpful because we know veterans suffer with mental health issues and there is help available, but not all of them know about how to get it. So I didn't know there was a nonprofit that did that. That's fantastic.
There are a bunch, but this one is really really good. So I'm dropping in the link in the. Oh well, the comment didn't work. I was trying to drop the link in the comments.
Oh yeah, I don't think it lets you do links. You can just say what it is without.
Okay.
Link. Yeah, I've tried that too. Yeah, and I also want to point out that anxiety is not always bad. So I've been working really hard for several years to manage my anxiety. My brother is the one that read an anxiety book, and then he's the one that saw right after the Parks Department stressful meeting I had at Buffalo Trace, he started asking me questions from his book. You know, are you sleeping at night? Can you read a book? Can you watch a movie? And I'm like, I can't do any of those things right now. He's like, well, you're under extreme anxiety. And that helped me to like calm down. But I used everything I knew about anxiety when I ran for State House because I told myself I wasn't going to get there again. Running for State House is a bigger office. It would be, I would think, more stressful since it's 4 counties instead of a fourth of a county. And and I was able to, for the most part, keep my anxiety pretty low. But also the adrenaline and the anxiety and the extra energy you get can help you with campaigning. Like I had to give speeches in front of hundreds of people.
There you are,
And
hunting the good stuff. There's a silver lining, right?
And that's not something I do every day. And I did speeches and I did a good job and I'm proud of myself and I worked hard at them and I had a little bit of anxiety, but for the most part, I was sleeping, I was reading a book, I was watching a movie, I was talking to my friends, and I had therapy the whole time. I was going through the entire time I did my campaign, I had therapy. So I'm learning I can do what I want. I can lead. I can lead a successful media company and try to help people, and I can keep growing, and I can handle it. And something that Aaron tells me over and over again is you are in control of your own brain. You are in control of your own thoughts. Don't ever let somebody tell you and make you a certain way. You turn that thing off. Whatever's causing you to get panicked, you are in charge of what you let into your own brain.
Right. But don't feel bad if you can't, like I said, man through it. But it's a good mentality to have that we're in. You can't necessarily turn it off, but to recognize that we're in charge of our own happiness, which is what one of my best friends tells me anytime I get down. So
yeah, we're in control of our own happiness.
We can't really change the events and change the problem necessarily. I mean, we've got to deal with those how we would deal with them.
I can't
change the way we react to things and how we perceive them.
I honestly can't control Palmyra Town Council. I can't control county council, Harrison County things. I can't control state things. I can voice my opinion and try to encourage positive change. I can shine a light on the people that are acting shady and praise the people in power that are doing a good job. I can do that, but I can also shut it off when my kids come home and give them attention and love them and snuggle them and listen to a 5-10 minute description of their weird dream or whatever, when I used to not be able to do that. I used to not be able to focus on my children because I was too stressed out with everything I had to do.
Right. And that's the problem. You start sacrificing your family and your loved ones. But yeah, so the different wellness techniques and mental fitness techniques, those things just like physical fitness, there are things that you do over time and improve over time, and then you're ready and resilient when the stressful event happens and they come up. So again, I can't go out and run a marathon. Well, I've never run a marathon. I've run a half marathon, but I can't
Cool.
go out run a half marathon without training for it. But if the opportunity comes up where I need to run a half marathon for some reason, running from zombies or something, then if I've done the training, I can do it. And the same thing here. You do these different techniques, and maybe we'll have an episode probably when you get one of your experts on to talk about the different techniques. We've mentioned some of them. They just build up over time and prepare you for when the bad times come, because they come for everybody. And
yeah, we had our basement flood last Saturday, and we've had our plumbing was a problem before that, and it was getting fixed, and that's why we had the basement flood, because it was still getting fixed. And then we had norovirus. Um, we had a lot, and I think we did a pretty good job because Chris and I have been really working on being as mentally fit as we can. Um, but you don't know when those stressful things are going to come up. Are you mentally able to handle them? And most humans can only handle so many. That's another
yeah,
thing.
I think
That's why when
everyone
like
needs help at
someone
some
gets
point.
when someone becomes unhoused, there's only so many things that can happen to them before they mentally really struggle. And it doesn't mean that they're not a perfectly capable, healthy human. Human beings are human beings, and we can only handle so much. So part of being mentally fit is recognizing that anybody can struggle. And that,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
to just say, yeah, I'm doing great now, that doesn't mean next year I'm going to be fine. I've got to keep at it.
No,
I have
not
to,
anybody can. I think it's everybody will,
right.
and it's being prepared for that. And I mean, it's not a sign of weakness to do these things. It's a sign of strength, in my opinion, to be able to recognize when you need help, just like any other thing. Just approach it logically. I do need to point out though, I have a little bit of an advantage because my wife is so great. In case she's tuned in, but
I'm
no,
happy for you. I've met your
I'm,
wife. She's wonderful.
yeah, honestly, having her support. And again, I mean, things are going great. There's no, I'm not
But
looking for sympathy, but
that's
when
something to
they go
think
bad,
about.
she'll be
You're
by my
doing
side.
okay, and it's still you can have high anxiety. Me too. I'm lucky. I don't have to worry about losing my house. I can buy food. I can, if I have a cancer scare, we can afford it and all this stuff. And it's still hard. So it's important to recognize when your friends or when you're yourself have issues where life is extra hard. Money, groceries, sickness, illness, whatever. Give yourself grace. Recognize this is going to be a high point right now. Maybe I can reach out to a friend and ask for help, because I think a lot of us want to handle everything ourselves and be in control of it. But asking for help, and even if it's just, would you mind helping watch my kids for 2 hours? Would you mind? Like
Right.
I've done this before. I've called up friends, like my friend Pam from Senior Paws Rescue. I've called her up and said, I need you. Can you come over this week? I need a friend to come here and give me a hug and listen to me and just be there for me. And she goes, you got it. And we pick a day and she comes
But
over.
yeah, give yourself grace. I think that was important. You just said that because we're often hardest on ourselves,
We're
harder than
hardest on
other
ourselves. I
people
think
are.
that a lot. We're a lot of times hardest on ourselves. And then sometimes because we're so hard on ourselves, we're hard on others. But when we are easier on ourselves and we give ourselves grace and empathy, it's easier for us to do it in others when we see them, messing
Sure.
up. We can recognize they're stressed out. And when you're stressed out, you make more mistakes.
Yeah,
So,
the
yeah.
self awareness journey started with those tools and things, and the reading I did, and then moved on to prescription and transcendental meditation, all these things, all of this stuff that has improved my mental health, my mental fitness, has made me a more sympathetic, empathetic person to other people. I think it's made me kinder too, because I
Yeah, you
recognize these
stand
things in
out
other
for
people.
a white guy. I'm going to give you some credit here, or lots of credit. You stand out um, as
Well,
just how willing
I
you
had to do
are
with
to
a
like help
race.
people. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying sometimes, your life is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think it's exceptional of you that you go out of your way to help people. And I just want to recognize that and
Well,
thank
thank
you
you.
for that. You don't have to be that way. You can be quietly living your life just fine. But you've messaged me. I imagine you're messaging other people when you notice they might need help and you're offering your help.
I do.
And if more people did that, if we gave ourselves empathy, forgave ourselves, and then when we recognize someone else struggling the same way, we reach out to them and help them. That's how we make this country better. That's how we
Yeah, build a
unite,
community, right?
build a community. That's honestly the best thing we can do. And you know what helps my mental health is starting Project Next, because after the election, it was pretty hard. I really wanted Jennifer McCormick to win and save for governor and to save public education. And she
You're
did
running
not
for
win.
office. You ran for office too, right?
Yes, I knew I wasn't going to win.
Right.
My district is gerrymandered pretty badly, but I lost worse than I thought I would, so that hurt too. And
Oh,
then I
sure.
really was helping Tim Peck, and he did better than I did because his race is bigger. District 9's like 18 counties, but he didn't do as well as we thought because the message was getting out that we were putting out about him. People were hearing it. We'd meet strangers on the street and they knew him. And so we just kind of assumed it was going to be better than it was. And that's when we realized maybe if we start a media company and we help people and we help encourage community and unity, maybe together we can help the government make better policies and make our lives better. But basically, the problem was harder than we realized. You can't just work a few months before an election. You have to make it not about politics and care about
Right.
people. That's why I ran for state house,
Yeah,
because I care
sure.
about people. But people don't know that. They think you ran because you have some evil political ambition or something. So being as honest as possible on these shows has been really fun for me. And I think that's probably a big key we haven't really talked about is getting to be yourself is probably the main way to help you not have anxiety. When you are controlled by outside sources, maybe a bad boss or a bad relationship
Hmm.
or a bad friend or family member or whatever, when you're being controlled and you're told who you are isn't good enough, you need to pretend to be somebody else, that's one of the cruelest things we can do to human behavior.
Sure. Yep.
And I have been controlled. I've had a bad boss. I want to talk about that. I'm excited about that episode. Um, I've had instances where people try to control me, especially the people I go after in the government. Sometimes they try to control me, and the best way I can counteract that and stay mentally fit is being myself. So I get to be myself. I'm literally my own boss with one other person that's one of my best friends.
I totally agree. So being the freedom to be yourself is very important.
I feel like when people get really stressed out in their lives and they don't have control, you start to see it in them. They might show their control in another way. Um, Maybe they change their appearance drastically or something because they feel so out of control. They need to do something. And I think that's fine. You do whatever you want. It's your body.
Mhm.
But sometimes that's a sign that they're struggling with control of their own life. And as a society, in our government, in our community, if we can do more things to allow people to be who they are, that's the best way they can be mentally fit. That's why I wore this shirt today, Corden Pride Festival.
Oh, didn't even
That's
notice. That's nice. Yeah.
that's a group of people in the community that are being attacked in Indiana, and they just want to be who they are. And
Mhm.
I identify with that a lot. And I'm not in the Pride community. I'm just a person who loves them. And it's so important that they get to be who they are. And if our government tries to force them to be a different way, that's going to hurt them, which is going to hurt our community, which is going to hurt our society, which is going to divide us. It's the opposite of what we should be doing. We should be openly supporting people and let them be who they are. They're not hurting anybody. Um that's a big component to anxiety. You're going to get anxiety when you are not allowed to be you. Yeah.
Sure.
Before we go, I want to
Mhm.
invite everybody to Thursday's episode at noon. Destiny Wells, badass superhero, real life superhero, one of our top Indiana Democrat leaders, and I'd say Indiana leaders, um, is coming on. She's a friend of mine. This is pretty brave of her. usually people that are running for office, like a statewide office, they don't always go on a show and openly admit to having anxiety, openly admit to having challenges and maybe making mistakes and how they overcome them. And Destiny's going to come on and openly talk about her struggles with anxiety and how she's learned with her struggles how to be a stronger person and lead us, because we need these leaders to save Indiana from the extremism. And most Hoosiers see that. It doesn't matter how you voted in the past. Most Hoosiers recognize our government isn't representing us. And how do we unite? And one way we unite is we get the best people in leading us. And in my opinion, Destiny Wells is one of those. And I'm really thankful for her. And it means a lot to see another strong woman lead. I think we're a little short of those. It's not 50-50, you know, running our government. We've never had a woman president. That hurts. Hurts hard. So yeah, I'm excited about that one. Shane, is there anything else you want to say or thank before we get off here?
Nope, just anybody that needs help, try it. Anybody's going through anxiety or stress, look for help. There's lots of resources out there, and I promise you, it can get better.
Please like, share, subscribe if you watched this show, if you enjoyed it.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, press that like button. Yeah. Thank you. And let's see, if you wouldn't mind texting it to a friend that suffers from anxiety, any friends that are panicking over the news, if this helps them in any way, it's worth it. I think both of us, if one person listens to this and gets help, it is worth our time. I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. I've learned stuff from you. So thank you so much. You're welcome to come on the show anytime. So, message me when you're like, hey, I got this topic I want to talk about. So just
sure.
Hopefully
thanks for having me.
You can come back on. Yeah, thanks
Glad
so much.
To be here. It was enjoyable.
Thanks, everybody, and thank you for sharing. You guys are awesome. Have a fantastic day, and we will see you all next time. We'll see you Thursday at noon, and I think Tim is going to do another episode with Father Ted, his uncle, who's a Catholic priest. Those are just the most adorable episodes. So there's going to be a show of that sometime this week. All right. Bye, you guys.